I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way. Okay, last podcast, season 8, and the people might have noticed that at the end of last season, we were deep in discussion around what this segment should be called, and then it came to Sam over the holidays. The brain had a bit of a break, and then
The brain had a break. This is what it's all about, real deals.
real deals.
No case study, no success story, real deals.
And not real as in R-E-E-L, as in real life.
Real life deals.
Not
real
reals.
life, on the ground. Prop culture has transacted for our real life clients. We're going to talk you through what it looked like from start to finish, client brief, all the things, anything that comes to mind. And today we're talking Tabitha.
We're talking Northside. We're talking Thornbury specifically,
Thornbury.
which I love Thornbury. Although I don't love every pocket of Thornbury. There's parts in sort of the east side of Thornbury. Don't love them. A bit too far away from the vibey high street.
Yeah.
But this real deal that I wanted to sort of workshop and work through today, I had a young couple, both professionals, time poor, didn't want to do the house to renovate, house to do the new kitchen and bathroom, not in their wheelhouse. They sort of were looking for either a single front or a sort of 90s townhouse, 2000s townhouse. We'd been looking for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then I got the perfect one off market.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing better. What's better in life? Well, we've heard about a lot of highlights this season, so maybe there's better things in life, I guess. But for us in our industry, when you've had a client with you for some time, enough time that when the right one comes up, you uncover it.
Oh.
You find it, the right one, off market, at the right price, in the right bloody pocket. There's nothing better.
There's nothing better. I inspected it, did the video, got them to come through. I mean, I'm talking this is semi-detached, north-facing, not a period home, but a bit of a replica style, which, you know, they're a little bit controversial just in the sense that people either want the real deal or they don't.
Or they want a modern townhouse.
Yeah, exactly. But this was great because it was built in about the 90s and was perfectly built. I mean, we've spoken to the building inspector this season and he said nothing's perfectly built. This was pretty perfect.
Did you get a building impressed? Did it come back perfect?
100% we did. Yeah, and there was a bit of grout conversation actually.
Classic.
But, you know, really good proportions, still high ceilings. We've got an ensuite in the front bedroom that's got the bay window.
Yeah.
We've got the central bathroom. We've got 2 other bedrooms, and that's what they wanted. They didn't have kids yet, but they wanted that house that one of them could work from home if and when they do have a child. That can still fit. Like this house is fitting them for the next 5, 6, 7 years quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Close to parks, close to transport, close to the city where they work, and it just ticks so many boxes. So got through it pre-market. It was actually styled and I kept having conversations with the agent. When's this going on market? You know, da-da-da. Anyway, so we get the building and pest inspection, submit the offer.
Mm-hmm. What?
It goes online the next day.
Oh, yes, I remember her.
And, you know, it was very disappointing on a lot of fronts,
yeah.
Because you know, had they communicated that they were putting that online when they were going to, which is their prerogative.
Yeah.
I'm not having a problem with the vendor or the agent. I'm just having a problem with the lack of communication and that, you know, we did our due diligence, submitted the offer so it could be unconditional, which,
yes.
you know.
Yes, spent the money,
which has happened to me a few times in 2025 where I'm having conversations with agents and then the goalposts change maybe in terms of, you know, timing of when it goes on market or pricing, expectations or, you know, settlement periods or whatever it may be, which I'm as frustrated as the client is because
Yeah.
I'm frustrated for them. I'm taking that on for them. Anyway, so a bit disappointing, but somehow it sort of almost worked in our favour because from memory, the quote range was going to be sort of 125 to 13.
Yep.
We submitted the pre-market offer at 13.
Yeah.
In writing on a contract. So now, what do they have to quote the property?
13 to 14.
They have to quote it 13 as their bottom of their range, which, you know, in the inner north, actually in any metro pockets of Melbourne with auction campaigns, if you're not quoting it conservative in line with other properties on the market, you're sort of the odd one out and look a bit bullish in terms of price. Because if anyone sees a 13 to 135 quote,
they're expecting 145.
145.
Yeah.
And it was never worth nearly that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it was quoted the 12 to 13 as they had it off market, or 125 to 13, I think it would have quite comfortably got, you know, the 135, high 13s. But anyway, so now they've put it online and now they have to change their quote and it has to be 13, silly duffers. So then we go through the campaign. We sort of don't make much noise. We're a bit bitter and twisted about it. Get to auction day, hardly anyone's there, passes into us. Amazing scenario. I think then we ultimately paid almost what we had submitted I don't think we paid more than our pre-market offer. But the reason why I thought that I wanted to talk through this case study in particular was because of how the different offers can go down in relation to a property purchase.
Yeah.
So because quite often clients engage us for access to these off-market, pre-market opportunities.
Yeah.
And we love them too. We love getting our clients seeing more options than, you know, maybe their friends that are looking in the same market are seeing. But I think it's important for buyers to know that it's not always clean.
Yeah, it's very rarely is it linear. Like it is never straightforward. When they're straightforward, that's the exception.
Yes.
And that's what, you know, then it's amazing when it's straightforward. You're the only buyer, you meet them at their reserve price or you negotiate, everyone comes to an agreement on price, moving forward, you've purchased the property, deal done. But this scenario in what happened here, really frustrating and unusual, but also it's just one of so many different things that can happen that throw the spanner in the works of these off-market opportunities. Like that's one example of what can happen, where it can all go wrong.
Yeah.
Like what was, if any, and I feel like you've already said there was no communication from the agent in relation to this, but once it then went online, did you just saw it online? Like what did the agent say?
Yeah. And I was like, I thought we were trying to buy this.
I just submitted an offer.
Yeah.
And what did they say?
Didn't really have too much to say. Vendor wanted to take it to market.
Yeah.
And they did do the right thing adjusting the quote range. But I just think they did themselves and the vendor a disservice by not engaging with us pre-market. Now they'd opened the door to a pre-market offer because now they've had to adjust their quote.
Yeah.
So I have seen this before where buyers talk themselves out of the properties if there's been some level of clunkiness
100%.
and they're bitter and twisted now and they're off it, but it's still a great property.
How often do you say to our buyers or to our clients, you know, take the agent out of it, take the vendor out of it? Do you love the house?
And take the quote range out of it. I often have a buyer, you know, quote range is 1 to 1 and we're, you know, suggesting it's almost worth 1.3. Oh, but it's 1 to 1. I can't believe I'm paying 1.3. No, it was never worth.
Don't worry about
the quote.
Yeah.
These off-market opportunities are fantastic, but they can sort of sour you on a property.
100%.
So just be aware of that. And also it's not one size fits all with how the agent's going to navigate that. And vendor motivations can change in the blink of an eye. You know, they have one conversation with someone at work about how good an auction campaign's been. Next minute they don't want to sell off-market. They want to see their campaign out. So it can, you know, and the vendor's the decision maker at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They have the right to do what they want with their property.
Exactly.
This property, just to go back to it, so built in the 90s, which I love that era because it's very livable now. We actually settled on it and had painters in there the next day and a floor sander, and it immediately lifts the
brought it up.
property.
Yeah, because they tend to have yellow floors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They were nice, beautiful wooden floors, but definitely.
But yellowing.
Yep.
And you can just sand it off.
Cream and really dated it. And so then everything looks a lot daggy and dated. But the kitchen was super functional, but just built in the 90s. So now my clients are going to be able to update that property, value add, spend the dollar to make 3. And it's 100%. Ticking sort of all of our boxes.
Yeah.
And
it's such a good size. And the floor plan, like the flow of the floor plan versus an actual Victorian property, which is like it's obviously based on the style of the facade is based on a single front of Victorian. But the way in which that they were built, if they were built as a replica or later or further down the track. And is it a replica? I mean, yes, because of the facade, but it's also just a house.
Yeah. I hate when they do try and put the ceiling roses in. Like of the ones built in the 90s. I'm like, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
And that's just a styling thing. You know, they come off and it gets squared away. It's just a styling. It's a finish. It's a detail. But the floor plan, like the fact it's got the central, or the ensuite from the front main bedroom and then the central bathroom, it's ideal. And to create that in a Victorian is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Because you have to centralise the bathroom. And it's so funny when you see a Victorian and it's got a rear bathroom and people are like, I don't get what the difference in the price of this one and this one is. I'm like, the centralised bathroom.
Yeah.
That's $100,000 right there.
100%.
Because relocating a bathroom is just bloody.
Exactly. Huge deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal. And whereas renovating an existing bathroom, tiles, finishes, the countertop, just the taps, that can be as little as, $1,000 all the way up to obviously like 30 or 40 depending on your finishes. But that's not 140 or 120 or moving rooms and moving structural walls, and it's a huge deal. So there's a lot of value in looking at those 90s properties, and the further we get away from the decade, the more attractive they look.
Yeah.
Just like with, the fashion obviously of the time.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of buyers dismiss these 90s properties because they are daggy. Like they've got the eggplant coloured kitchen cabinetry. But they are really, overlooked.
Functional, well built. I mean, it was the decade after the 80s, and in the 80s, look at all the villa units that were built incredibly well. I mean, they'll withstand bloody bombs.
Well, that's what the building inspector that we had on a couple of episodes ago said. Like, they were just using better materials back then. So it is very different to like a new townhouse. But one thing I forgot to mention about the auction day is that I think unless this has happened to you as a buyer, and we saw this all the time as selling agents, when you have a buyer and you pass a property into them, it's like lamb to the slaughterhouse. Like they just come in, deer in the head, like they've been out the front, the heart's racing, the adrenaline's going, and like I'm standing out there, like I've done so many deals with these agents. We're familiar with each other. I can't get pushed around, and my first home buyers were standing out the front, calmly by themselves, not brought into the house under the pressure of the agent, because it's very stressful. Like they're sort of, you've got the vendor in the front room, I'm in the back half of the house, the agent sort of going in and out from the both of us.
Seemingly working for you, but they're not.
Yes.
But it seems like
they're trying to help
me. My team and I'm confused.
Yeah. So just if you are a buyer and you find yourself in this scenario, just take a deep breath and remember that you are in the driver's seat. You need to control it, and you can always walk away. I always say, though, the best time to get a vendor to sell their property
is on auction day.
A discount is on auction
100%.
day. They just want the sold sticker up on the board. They want to tell their friends they did sell on auction day.
Yeah.
They don't want to open their house anymore.
Yeah. The anxiety for them leading up to that day, and they're usually 9 times out of 10 they're in the right position to sell on that day too, whatever the highest bid is or the highest offer is that day. But that also comes with being so cautious around flexibility as the buyer too. So, you know, we deal with so many different types of people, and there are people who really start to dig their heels in the sand. Oh, well, I'm the only buyer and I'm not going to move and I'm not going to budge. And then perhaps maybe they prematurely walk away from the negotiation, or it'll still be there and then it gets sold to someone else later that afternoon. You know, someone introduces a new buyer, they come through, like we say, vendors are at the right price, they're ready to sell. That buyer is more reasonable in their negotiation and the deal gets done and it's gone. And maybe it's a missed opportunity. So there is a fine line between knowing you're in the driver's seat and being strong in your conviction with where you're comfortable to go to, but also recognizing the opportunity to be flexible to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, not if you get to a point where there's $5,000 in it, $7,000 in it, $2,000 in it, get it done. And don't get too stressed about, well, I've done this and they should do that. Do you want the house? Don't, again, take the vendor out of it, take the agent out of it. Do you want to buy this house today?
And at what price?
Yeah.
And then if it's not that price, walk away.
If it's not that price, easily walk away and let it go. And then you should never have a regret about it because you've walked away at the right level. But if you let it go when you should have potentially pursued, you know, that is always a bit of a tricky one. And that's the sort of thing that I think we help people navigate a lot of, you know, not letting the stress of the process or the stress of the day cloud the judgment of the purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, stress of the day, that's funny because I was just going to flag one more thing that I actually spoke to these buyers about, because this has happened quite a few times. Because I love buying a property that passes in at auction and then buying it that day or the next week or whatever. I think the average buyer doesn't like buying that property. I think the average buyer thinks that property failed and now it's no one wants it. There's something wrong with it. I don't want to buy the one that no one else wants. Yet they get annoyed with the auction process and having to fight it out. And
if they have to compete.
If they have to compete, they hate that. But I just love it. But because we've been doing this for so long, now I go through the different auction scenarios when we head into an auction, you know, if it passes into us, if there's one other bid, if it doesn't meet reserve, if it flies well over reserve and there's multiple bidders. So work through, you know, and how are you going to feel in the different scenarios? And I always make sure to go through the feeling of if there's no other bidders, passes into you, you buy it.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah.
Because I think that normal buyer psychology, that doesn't feel good.
They hate it. They think they've made a huge mistake.
100%.
Every time.
Every time.
When it's normally a really good opportunity.
Yep. So one key takeaway from our little Real Deal this episode is that, yes, sometimes there is a red flag that you may have missed and that means that you're the only buyer. Oftentimes there's not.
Yeah.
Oftentimes something has happened, like the agents haven't done their job as agents and made sure multiple buyers are there on auction day, or which is one of the most common reasons I see properties fail at auction and pass in, is they're overquoted.
I was going to say 9 times out of 10, the quote's just too high. So they've got some light interest from a few buyers who perhaps might come and watch the auction with zero intention to bid. They've not done their due diligence because they want to see what happens. They can't pinpoint why. That's their perspective on it. If the property was quoted less than that and seemingly not only did they have interest in the property itself, but it also seemed like a good buy, then now they're on it, they've done their due diligence. Instead of arriving to watch the auction, they arrived to bid. And I believe that agent had said to you through the campaign that you were going to have competition.
Yes.
And then you went there thinking you'd have competition, and then it did still pass into you as one and only bidder, which again can feel, oh, I've missed something here, there's something wrong. No, maybe that agent didn't do their buyer work. They weren't sure. They didn't know. They assumed that they were going to have bidding from 2 others who they actually didn't get confirmation from and who weren't giving the right signals, but they misread them. Yeah. All of that can happen.
But oftentimes the agent doesn't want to communicate to their one buyer that actually
they're the only
people, because they know that spooks that one buyer, and now that one buyer's talked themselves out of it. So it's funny, they will sometimes say there are a few other buyers, lukewarm, one wants subject to finance, and make up a few stories about why these other buyers might not participate. But I just don't feel some kind of way about being the only buyer or buying that property that passes in or buying the property, a couple of days later that failed at auction.
Yeah.
They are honestly some of the best purchases I've done in my career.
Yeah, 100%.
That you've got a motivated vendor.
Yeah.
They want to get it done. And that is the problem with the off market. Sometimes they're not motivated, too high on price.
Most of the time. They're testing and checking prior to committing to anything. So often the conversation that's had is, well, if you can get me this, I guess I'll move. But there's no motivation in that. So in a way we have to pay them their price, which is inflated, in order to get it. So that's where when we are talking to new clients and clients on board, we get access to plenty of off-market. But just like with the on-market options, majority of them don't suit for different reasons, and the off-market ones are mostly due to vendor motivation and pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. But that's an interesting one. Pre-market offer, you received the property pre-market, you submitted an offer at the top end of what was going to be the quote range, not even necessarily rejected, just came online. And then you were the eventual buyer 4 or 5 weeks later. And probably the hardest part of that process is keeping the client interested in the property.
Well, yeah. I mean, funnily enough, in that 4 weeks, we didn't even see anything that came near to it from an accommodation perspective. Property maintenance perspective was a big one for these clients. Like we were definitely staying away from the new builds because we wanted that wealth creation and ability to value add and do some, renovation works down the track, not immediately. But nothing else compared. This was so turnkey for these guys that just it ticked every box. It was amazing. North facing, off-street car parking. I mean, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. It was one of those ones that you're like, you sure you want to buy this, guys? Because maybe I will.
Yeah. Oh, my God. When you talk yourself into it and you're like, this is great. We have to buy this now.
I want it. But, yeah, a few key takeaways. Pre-market opportunities aren't always, the thing. It can just be the vendor testing the market, seeing what they get, and they're actually still planning on going on market. But that, isn't the worst thing. Agents do need to change their quote ranges if they get offers in writing, and don't be nervous to buy the property that's passed in at auction. Yeah. I think that's
the key
some
takeaway.
Of the best real estate.
Yeah.
It's just
but making sure you've done your due diligence so that you feel confident you've not missed something that everyone else is aware of. Like, classic example, this very rarely happens, but a high-rise being built on the northern boundary. Do you know that that's happening or not? Is that in the works? Is that at council? Is that sitting there and you just don't know? That's potentially the issue, but that's literally 10% or less than the time that it's that. It's more likely pricing or campaign management.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I loved that real deal.
Was it good?
Thank you so much.
I jumped around there a little bit.
Jumped around. But I think we've
brought it back. It's been a long season.
I know. Hasn't it just? Okay, F, marry, kill.
Talk to me.
Real deals. This specific property purchase in Thornbury, having F, marry, kill, the timeline at which you've made the purchase, pre-market, first week of campaign, on auction day. F, marry, kill.
Oh, I want to marry pre-market. I think that my clients said when we bought it on auction day, they had champagne in the fridge since
that day. Yeah, so they were waiting. Marry pre-market.
Marry pre-market. They wanted to be designing or picking their paint colour 5 weeks earlier, you know, and I really was hoping that was going to be the case for them. I'm effing the
way in which you bought it.
Yeah, way in which I bought it at auction, passed into me, great. I love a negotiation with an agent.
Yeah.
Have no problems being the only bidder.
Yeah.
No problems with it passing in. So, and then I'm killing off first week just because that's the only one left really. But I still love to buy it.
You'd still buy it first week, exactly. You're like, well, we started this negotiation last week. You guys have spent another $5,000 taking it to market. Now I'm just going to buy it this week now.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah, exactly. So the moral of the story is we're going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know, today, tomorrow, in 5 weeks' time.
So
if we want it and if the vendors are going to meet us, you know.
Exactly.
Love it. Thank you.
Bye.